Yeah, I'm feeling pretty beat up actually, as you would expect. I kind of messed my foot up. I think my foot may be broken. He checked the kick, and it's like very swollen and kind of all lumped up. So, but I feel pretty beat up. This is the worst that I've ever been beat. Gustafson's a stud, man. He's a good fighter.
And you're not a young guy, so when you have a war like this, what does it make you think? I mean, you've got a burgeoning TV career and that sort of thing. I mean, do you start putting limitations on what's left?
I mean, because of my TV career, I try not to put an end date on this fighting, because then you start looking forward to the days of wearing expensive suits and eating from the crafts table and weighing 240 pounds instead of being beat up at midnight talking and going to the doctor tomorrow to get an x-ray. So I try not to put an end date. Man, listen, these are the ones that you dream about when you start doing this. And you don't dream about them as you want to be involved. You want to be involved and you want to win them. And I was tired in the 5th round, but I just kept punching and punching and punching and punching. I always take from my teammates, and I watched Luke Rockhold beat Jacare as a baby in this sport, and he was exhausted, and he just kept punching. And even though things weren't landing with power, he just kept working, and he won a decision. I watched Kane get his belt back from Junior Dos Santos, and between rounds, he thought he was going to faint, but he kept punching, and he kept punching, and he kept punching, and he got his belt back. So I take from my teammates, and you watch them perform at this level, and all you do is try to model yourself after them.
And at the end of the fight, you took a moment of honesty. You said, hey, I'm dropping the facade, the promos. Why was that important for you to do?
Man, it is my job to sell these fights. I'm now a business partner of the UFC, and what I do directly affects my paycheck. And I try my best, I just don't want people to be indifferent. You can love me, you can hate me, but just don't be indifferent. Care about it enough to watch. But Alexander earned my respect, and it's very hard to be outside of yourself in a moment like that when your heart's racing as you walk back to the center of the octagon, not exactly knowing what happened. You're bloodied up, you're hurting, your body's just everything hurts, and it's you have to be honest. You have to tell the truth, and the truth is that guy beat me up tonight and made me fight at a level that I didn't even know I can go to, and I appreciate him for it.
And last question I have for you, DC. I'm sure you're wanting to rest up and enjoy things, but thinking about what's next, it looks like depending on what happens, it would either be John Jones or Ryan Bader. Do you have a preference as to what comes next?
I mean, I don't really care, I just want to fight. I like to fight. That's what I do. I like to fight. I mean, while I'm in there, it kind of sucks, getting kneed in the belly and kicked and punched. I think I blocked more punches with my face than my my hands, but I like to fight, man. I'm not going to back down from any guy. Ryan Bader did a tremendous job tonight beating Rashad. I didn't think he could do that. And obviously John Jones is John Jones. I think he's the greatest fighter of all time, and when he gets cleared to fight, then we'll fight. But I'm not going to fight him in New York, so you guys can write that.
DC, congrats on the win, of course. In that 3rd round, he hit you with the knee pretty hard, and obviously it kind of tripped you up there. Do you kind of remember that sequence there, or what happened in that moment? You were able to recover pretty quick, but...
Yeah, I thought I was winning the round pretty handily, and then he kneed me in the face, and then he ended up actually... See, I can take a shot, but it's the follow-up shots that really get you. And when Rumble knocked me off my feet, I was able to defend the follow-up shot, but this guy actually got one off, and as I was trying to get away, I kind of fell down. And when I got up, I was kind of fuzzy. I was like, shh, but I got to just start punching again. It's like you just go on cruise control and just start punching. I wasn't going to be able to get away from him because he's too composed. He won't overexpose himself to a takedown in those situations. He's too smart. So he stayed in his lane, and then he started trying to finish me. So I just started punching. And then I landed a pretty good punch, I think, at least. And then we kind of stopped, but maybe I didn't. And I just don't remember what happened at the end of that round.
You haven't been a part of very many close fights. I mean, up until you got to the UFC, you had never lost a round. Obviously, you had the Jones fight, but when they announced the split decision, what's running through your head? Were you surprised? I mean, I talked to everybody in the media seemed to score you winning, but were you a little shocked when it came back as a split?
My coaches actually got me to calm down. I was very nervous because I was like, well, did I win? Every round I asked him if I won because honestly, Damon, I still don't know what's going on in there. I've had 18 fights, and after every round, I can't tell if I hit him more or if he hit me more. I can't tell. So I asked Bob, he's my mentor, my coach, and I trust him with everything. And he tells me, you won that one. You lost that one. That was very close. He's very honest with me. And after the fight, I said, did I win? And he was like, you won. He was like, we got this one. So that kind of had me a little more relieved. I didn't necessarily think that he was going to win on any of the scorecards, but when he did, I didn't really panic because I figured I had done enough to win the fight. I knew I won the 5th round. I mean, I was punching. I was just hitting as whatever I can hit. I was just hitting. I was kicking. My foot's broken. I was kicking him. I was punching him, and I was just trying to get my hands on him as best I could.
When in the promotion leading up to this fight, I know you were, again, promoting the fight, and you talked about, Alexander's biggest moment was his loss to Jon Jones. But, if you would have gone out and knocked him out in the first round, I'm sure it would have been better for your body and the way you're feeling right now. But to go through a 5-round war like that and have someone push you, I mean, in a weird way, is that good for you as a champion and as you getting respect from your peers?
I think so. I think it allows people to understand that I'm more than just a wrestler. When I said I can beat Alexander Gustafsson in a stand-up fight, people laughed at me. They thought, no way. But I believe in what I'm seeing every day. Like, I've never been pushed like I am in the gym. I mean, I go between rounds, and I honestly say to myself, this is not Kane. This is not Luke. I know that these guys will not push me like my guys do in the gym every day. So, every time we fight, we always say, like, we didn't win. Like, I didn't win. I was the one that was lucky enough to go out there and just perform. The American Kickboxing Academy won. Every person that plays a part of this won. Zinc Entertainment won. Selena and my family won. I'm just the guy that's lucky enough to go out there and show what we've been doing for 8, 10, 12 weeks at a time. And I want the responsibility. I'm glad that I can do it. I want to go and represent the American Kickboxing Academy. This is my team. I'm the captain, and I want to go and represent the best that I can.
Last question. You said, Jon Jones, you're not going to fight him in New York, so kind of a two-part question. Was that something specific? Like, you want to kind of call the shots on where the fight happens? I mean, you are the champ now, but part 2 of that is you've had a very busy year this year. I mean, you had the fight in January, you fought again in May, and now you fought again now. Do you feel like you do need to take some time, and even if Jon gets reinstated tomorrow, to kind of, get your health back? And, I mean, this has been a pretty crazy year for you.
It's been a tough year. Every year is. I started fighting in the UFC in 2013, and, I mean, do any of you guys know my record in this company? I've got 18 fights now. I think when I got to the UFC, I might have had 11 or 12. So I've fought 7 times in 2 years. Like, I fight a lot, so it's tough. But I just think that at the end of the day, when Jones gets reinstated, New York is probably the only place that he'll be welcomed without, like, just venomous anger. This is where he's from, so they will actually care for him. They will cheer him. Just as you take me to Lafayette, Louisiana, it doesn't matter what I do, they will cheer me. Why should I allow this guy to go and fight where he's comfortable? No, he needs to go somewhere where he has to look at people in the eyes and hear the anger that they have towards him for the actions that he did.
DC, in that first round, you had arguably one of the best takedowns we've seen in a long time, where Alexander Gustafsson was literally upside down.
I do that a lot.
Did you see anything different in the, you had great success in that first round? Anything different in the second and third round when you're trying to go for takedowns that just weren't there?
He's got great takedown defense, and also in between rounds he was drinking and they were like pouring water on him, so he was like very wet. And then it's like he was hiking his shorts up, so I was getting like all leg. I wasn't getting any shorts. You actually need shorts in order to do a lot of those takedowns. I was getting all leg, man, and when I got behind him in the second round, he started running. I tried to lock my hands, and he was it was very tough. I mean, it's him, the guy's good. I mean, kid took me down twice, like I'm on the ground, like how in the world did that happen? Like my takedown defense is suffering. I don't know what I'm doing out there.
You mentioned him running, and that was kind of the theme. A lot of people mentioned that on social media. Was that frustrating at all, seeing him kind of run away from you during the fight?
Yeah, it was tough because I'm trying to fight, you know. After a point, it's like I'm trying to fight. And I understand you fight with a game plan, but as you feel the fight getting closer and closer, you want to fight. And when he cut me, I just started, like, chasing him because I was like, okay, let's go. You want to fucking fight? Let's do it. But he started running and shit. So I'm like, get your ass over here and fight, boy. What are you doing?
And finally, you mentioned in the cage after the fight that you grew as a fighter. Can I explain that phrase and how you grew tonight?
Because the guy hit me with some hard shots, man. Not only in the face, but in the body. And you saw in the Jones fight, that really slowed me down. But in training, we prepared for it. Because, I mean, if anybody watches the Jones fight, they say, well, the key to beating Daniel is trying to deplete him by actually going to the body. If you're stuck on the fence, hold his wrists. I mean, you watch the Jones fights, and there are a lot of things that John did very well, especially for a guy with the body style like Alex to try and follow. And I think we did a great job of actually turning off the cage. I think we did a great job of staying forward pressure, even though the body shots were hurting. He hit me with some pretty nice knees. He got that from Jones, where Jones would actually just time me coming in and just throw a back knee. And they're very powerful. But I was able to actually continue to press. And then in the 5th round, my coaches told me, go get it done. I went and got it done. I didn't do that in January. I didn't do that. You know, when it got tough in the 4th round, I tried to take a break, and that's when I lost the fight.
Take 2 more, guys. Go ahead, Spencer.
DC, you mentioned obviously he hit you with some big shots. You hit him with plenty as well. Is there any moment in that fight where you're just thinking to yourself, what is it going to take to put this kid down?
You know, we were in the clinch a couple times, and I was holding his head and uppercutting him. And I was hitting him so hard. And I was like, well, he's not moving, so it must be hurting him. But then he just kept taking him. I was kind of waiting for his legs to buckle or something, but they never did. And, I mean, maybe I just couldn't see it. You know, my coaches told me I landed some good ones that kind of made his legs buckle a little bit. But a couple times I was just holding him, and I'm literally just unloading uppercuts as hard as I can. And the kid's just taking it. I think that shows you, like, what kind of power Anthony Johnson actually has. Because I was hitting him as hard as I could, and he wasn't going anywhere. That kid was there for the long run. Listen, man, Alexander Gustafsson, I know I talk about him being a model. I know I talk about him not being overrated and all that stuff. Listen, Alexander Gustafsson is an absolute stud. He is one of the best fighters in the world. And before I said he can go back to Sweden and model. He's a megastar there. I don't want him to go anywhere. This sport needs guys like Alexander Gustafsson who can go out there and lay it all on the line against the best fighters in the world. He had a Fight of the Year candidate in 2013 with John Jones, and him and I just had one of the best fights of the year tonight. There aren't many guys in this world that can say they fought John and I both to split decisions for the UFC light heavyweight championship. This guy's very deserving, and it would be a crime if Alexander Gustafsson didn't fight for very much longer.
You talked on Wednesday about some people not wanting to give you credit, discredit what you've done in this sport. For you, does this solidify all those dreams that you had and all the things that you wanted to accomplish to this point?
My dreams were accomplished the moment they called me the UFC light heavyweight champion. I mean, I can't satisfy everyone. There are going to be people that say I lost, and that's expected. There are going to be people that say this guy's not the champion because Jones is. That's expected. You know, you cannot satisfy everyone, I'm sorry. So I just got to continue to do what I do. Man, I'm just going to go to the gym and train. I'm going to believe in my trainers and my teammates. I'm going to believe in the UFC to match me up in the best fights. Give me the tough fights. They said Alexander Gustafsson. I said, okay, even though I knew it was a tough fight. I don't want anything more. I just want to fight. I'm 36 years old. I don't know how long my body's going to hold up. I've been doing this for a really long time. I started competing at the highest levels at 15. So I don't know how long my body's going to hold up. And I left a lot of myself in there tonight with Alex. So I got to do it while I can. And just loving the competition is what drives me. You know, I always thought it was about this belt, but it's not. It's about what's under it. It's the competition, the ability to go in there and compete and prove myself against another person. It's what it's always been about.
Take our last one right here.
Yeah, once again, Daniel, congrats on an amazing performance. Just it was a split decision. One of the judges saw it in Alexander's favor. What do you feel was the deciding factor that gave you the nod from the judges?
Pressure and just constant movement forward, punching, kicking. Even though they're not the biggest shots, I was constantly moving my hands. I was constantly going forward. I was constantly pressing. And, at the end of the day, Alex really can't do that. He can't turn his back and run away. This is a fight, and that may actually influence the judges. You cannot turn your back and run away from a guy. One time I hit him behind the head, and I am not apologizing for it. I'm taking one more. Who wants it? Who wants one more question? Seriously, I'm the boss, not Schaller. Don't worry about it. He ain't going to do anything.
On a night
I've been
like
pimping this
tonight,
guy. I've been beating him
you're
up the whole
boss.
time. This guy tonight I'm hurting bad. He still hasn't cashed in his money in the bank briefcase because he knows I'm going to kick his ass.
Tick, tock, tick.
Schaller. One more.
Daniel, what did you learn about yourself tonight?
I learned that no matter how tough it is, if I set my heart to it and I believe in what my coaches are telling me, I can get it done. I've always known it. I've dealt with a lot of stuff in my life. But tonight I had to prove it because Alexander made me. Nothing else. I learned that no matter what the circumstances, if I keep my eye on the prize and I continue to press, I can get the job done. Alexander Gustafsson did that. Just as I grew up in 2012 against Josh Barnett, this was another level. Now there is no man that I am not willing to step inside the octagon with and feel like I'm going to get my job done.
Dave, if I can start with you real quick. Normally we'd ask Dana, of course, but can you give us any clarification on Tyron Woodley? There seem to be a lot of question marks as to what comes next for him. Did Dana give you an indication if he wants to wait, he can wait for the title shot?
Yeah, and that's, generally speaking, that's how the plan will be. But when you factor in the weight right now with the January title fight with Condit and Lawler, we just wanted to afford him the ability that if he wants to fight before then, he can. Tyron's a guy who enjoys being active, but all indications are he'll be next in line, subject to making sure that everybody's healthy and things like that after January.
Sure. And the other question we had for him, John Jones. Can we get an update on that situation? Obviously, it seems like he would be next in line. What's the organization standpoint? What's his point of view? When can we see him fight again?
So as we said last week, we're in the process through our law firm, Colby & Williams out of Las Vegas, of reviewing the terms of that plea agreement. We anticipate having more news this week. I saw Jones was active on Instagram after the fight, so it seems like he's interested. But tonight is about Cormier and Alexander Gustafsson.
Thanks for the updates, Dave. If I can start with Yair, please. Can you just give us an update on your foot? Is it broken as you anticipated?
No, it's not broken. The doctor says just cerebral contusion, but I think in a couple of weeks it will be all right.
Fantastic. And can you just give us thoughts on your performance overall? A lot of creativity, a lot of fan pleasing. Didn't get the finish like you like, but what did you think of your performance overall?
I think the fight was hard. This guy just come out for me like left-hander. He was trying to he was all the time left, so I was trying to be left too. I don't like to be like in the same guards because you always hurt yourself so bad. So I just try to be lefty all the fight and do whatever I can.
Thanks, Harry. And just quickly, if I could, for Joseph, a big win for you tonight. Kind of an odd reaction from the crowd. What was your take on that? I mean, it seemed like you fought a technical fight knowing that you couldn't get into a slugfest with a guy that hits as hard as he does. So what was your thoughts on their reaction?
Hello? Oh, yeah. I think the main part of the crowd reaction was just that, like, half of Russia's here. So I think that had a lot to do with it. There's so many guys, Russian fans on the card, and going through this fight in this camp, I realized how passionate these guys are. So I think he just had a lot of fans there. And, yeah, it was a tough fight. Ali's tough. I think a lot of people underrate him, for sure, and don't realize how tough that guy is. Go back and watch any of his fights. The guy's beaten some tough guys, even, kept it fairly close with the champion coming off a year, definitely hungry. So, I fought a good strategic fight. Like I said, I get married in 6 days. Still got a nice little cut for the wedding pictures. So it was funny, right when that happened, I go, dang, wedding pictures. And I just went back to action. But, yeah, other than that, it was great, man. It's a good week of life. And any win in the UFC, man, these guys, everyone's tough. This is a former title contender. Went out there and beat him. Every single guy that I'm going against is tough. So it's just awesome to go in and get a win, which I feel was dominantly.
And lastly for you, what is your motivation, your focus? Of course, the time off with the wedding is going to be due, but you mentioned the champion tonight. Can you stay motivated just fighting guys that are contenders, or are you still focused on getting another title shot?
Yeah, just motivated and seeing how great the champion's performances have been. Obviously, that motivates you every day. And, for everyone, I'm willing to fight the champion whenever, any single time out. After every fight, I'm ready to do it. But, obviously I know what it takes to get there. And, beating tough guys, day in and day out. And now there's 4 in a row. That only helps. So, I understand it takes some time and there's some other contenders out there. But I'm ready to do it every time. I think you could have me and Mighty Mouse fight 20 times and it's going to be, exciting one way or the other. So, yeah, for me, it's just getting better every day because I know how great the champion is, and I'm not the best in the world. So, and that's what I want to be. So that's what motivates me is just every day, I have something to improve on. I can't sit up there and be like, oh, I'm the best in the world. You see, especially Mighty Mouse's performances of late and even the rest of the division, that motivates you every day.
Go ahead, Brett.
For Ryan, right here, Ryan. Just talk about your fight. Congrats on the win. Obviously, was it the performance you were hoping for against a tough guy, Rashad? Obviously, just how you thought it went.
Yeah, I've been feeling good. Went out there and finally just felt like the fighter I know he can be. Felt quick, felt fast with the jab and hit him with some good shots. And Rashad's a veteran of the sport, and take somebody out like that. That's what I need. Make it 5 wins in a row with a name like that as a little bookend, and we'll see where it goes from here. Obviously, I do want a title shot. We got John Jones back in the picture. So for me, I'm going to control the things I can control, and that's a fight in front of me. That was Rashad, and so we'll just see what happens.
You know exactly how this sport works. If Jones comes back, obviously that's a big fight. So I know it's tough. Maybe you don't have an answer right now tonight, but would you accept another fight? You do have a 5-fight winning streak. What is your stance on that?
Yeah, of course. I'm here to fight. If John Jones comes back, he's fighting Cormier. I have some people on my mind that I would like to fight. I'd like to get my last loss back with Glover. If he gets through Pat. So that's one fight. I'd like to get back. Other than that, obviously I'd want a title shot, want to fight Cormier. We'll see what happens, though, with the whole John Jones situation.
And then just a couple for Sage. Congratulations on your fight as well.
Thank you.
Dream come true? Was it everything you could have hoped? A sub-minute finish? Is that kind of what you saw happening out there?
Oh, it sure is, yes, sir. Because just being in the UFC environment and being in front of the thousands of people that are out there watching, it's everything that I've dreamed of, everything that I've imagined, and everything that I've thought of. I visualized it just like it happened. The first kick or so that I threw, it wasn't to actually hit him. It was just to kind of set it up, see what he was going to do, throw a feint, and then from there just hit him and dropped him, and then started throwing elbows and took him back down and finished the fight. So it was just like I planned.
It doesn't make a lot of sense to ask you specific questions about your future. You're so young. Obviously you're going to get fights and whatever. But one thing that I would ask you is that, I think your dad even mentioned it on the video that the UFC put out, is that he's your coach for now. What are your long-term plans in terms of your development as a fighter? Do you see yourself going to a big camp at some point? Do you have any thoughts on what your team and your camp will look like down the road?
Well, right now I know there's so many guys that you could possibly train with. And my dad has been my coach since I was 4.5 years old when I first started. And I think he's doing a pretty great job. And I'm here in the UFC now, so I'm honored. I'm honored to be up here with all these awesome fighters right now. It's a big honor. So in the future, it could possibly be going to have, I know you said fight camps. Right now, I don't have fight camps, and I understand that I'm young, and I'm 19 years old, and I have a lot of technique to work on. So I'm right now working on positional, situational, drilling, technique, and not really training specifically for a fight camp for any specific fighter. So if Dana White or Mr. Silva goes, hey, Sage, you're going to fight this guy in 2 weeks from now, I'm not going to have fight camp for that guy yet that I'm going to go fight. It's just training my technique to make myself better for now because I have so much to learn still.
Question for Dave.
Go ahead.
Did Dana White comment the main event, and if not, as a representative of the UFC, what are the UFC's opinions on the main event and on Gustafsson's heart and performance?
Well, let's start with Alexander Gustafsson. This guy has been in some of the best title fights, not only in light heavyweight history, but in UFC history. He's one of the toughest, grittiest fighters we have on the roster, and it was really an emotional moment backstage because he comes backstage near the medical tent. He gets, obviously looked at by the doctors, and everyone backstage, from service staff to security guard, everybody gave the guy a standing ovation. That's what he means to this company. And when you talk about Daniel Cormier is not 20 years old. He's 36 years old. And to fight with that pace, that persistence, that grit, he became a better fighter tonight, and I think we all became better fans of the sport after watching something like that.
And you mentioned he was taken to the hospital for precautionary reasons. Was there any word on any injuries or anything like that?
He just had a series of things that we felt best would be under the advice of a doctor.
Okay, thank you. And a question for Juliana. First of all, congratulations on a great fight. There was a little bit of controversy with the knee to your head when you were both on the ground. You were both stood up, despite the fact that a point was deducted. What were you thinking about the fact that you lost your position?
I wasn't like upset, but I'm not a ref, so I don't make the decisions on that. So I just let them do their job.
And this is obviously your highest ranked opponent so far. And we don't want to look too far ahead, but what does the future hold for you? What do you think? What's the next step?
I mean, why not look too far ahead? I did not get in this sport to be at the bottom roster. I got in this sport to let the world know that I'm the toughest 135-pound female fighter in the world. So, I'm 6-0, Ronda's 6-0. I don't think that it's out of the realm of possibility. So I'm looking to be in a title shot. Jessica Ai, after her loss to Miesha Tate, if she would have won, she would have been next in line for a title shot. So why not me?
And finally, a question for Ruslan. Do we have a translator?
He's checking in for his flight.
Yes, I just want to get your overall impressions of the fight, and obviously there was a lot of Russian fans here to support. What did you think? How did you feel about the support that they gave you?
Что ты думаешь? Много болельщиков из России было вокруг. Какие у тебя чувства насчет этого боя? It helped me a lot.
Okay, спасибо.
Thank you.
For Ryan, if I could. You had said coming into this that you didn't want to look past Rashad. This was a fight that you were, really needed to bookend, as you said earlier. What does it mean to finally get that and to be at this point? As you said, 17 fights in, not a new guy to the organization anymore, but is this sort of the best moment for you that you've had in your career so far?
Well, yeah, it's just the beginning too. Like I said, I finally feel like, showing that I'm the fighter that I know, and my whole camp knows that I am. So I think it's just the beginning. And, for me, of course you can't look past Rashad. I'm taking him one fight at a time, and with the last thing with DC and all that kind of stuff, I was kind of in no man's zone until I got that name, Rashad Evans, and been wanting to fight him forever. He's a legend in this sport. And for me, go out there and beat that guy, keep my head down, just keep doing that. There's nothing else I can do right now. Like I said, there's too many variables out there.
Was there something in this camp and even just in the last couple of days that really clicked for you to make you feel like you're at that best fighter you can be stage, or is it just progress?
Just progress, focus. Every training camp, I take the things that, that I need to take and drop the stuff I need to drop. And, this is a 17th fight in the UFC, and that accumulates, and having the right people around me in my camp. Personal life is great, so everything together, it just puts me in that mindset to go out there and take what I want. Let's go out there and win every fight in front of me. And so it's just changing my mindset, really. Just made up my mind that I want to go out there and do it and want to be the best.
And for Juliana, if I could, back here. Hi. Great victory, biggest victory of your career. You still seem a little, I don't know if it's irritated, just focused still. Haven't come down from it. Happy with the victory, happy with the performance?
I'm a little disappointed for several reasons. I had a couple injuries that I wasn't too happy about coming into this fight. I feel like if I was at 100%, then you would have definitely seen a finish and you would have seen me capitalize a lot more. I got a little greedy in the fight, and I changed from short choke to a full rear naked choke and then back to a short choke again, and didn't sit in on my guillotine and let it roll through, and that's what I was planning on doing the whole time. So, you know, not getting those finishes cost me, and I'm here to say that if I would have been able to pull that off, that you guys definitely would have seen a finish. So, you know, I'll go get it next time. A win's a win, so I'm happy with that, but at the same time, I'm a little disappointed that I couldn't walk away with the finish.
Thanks.
Is that Bruce? He's everywhere. Anybody with any additional questions?
Dave, besides of what the commission, if they have a decision on Frank Trevino, if the UFC can suspend him or have a sanction for the fact that he pushed Herb Dean after the fight?
Yeah, I have to say this again. Unfortunately, never is it acceptable to put your hands on any officials, UFC staff members, or anybody not associated with the action in the octagon other than your opponent. It's unfortunate that that happened. I know he was frustrated that he missed weight, and then obviously got overwhelmed by Sage. The truth of the matter is we'll regroup on Monday as we always do on disciplinary type actions, but it's just completely unacceptable. And the commission, to your point, will also have a say in that.
Thanks, Dave. And for Jair, I hope you can answer in English and then in Spanish. When would you like to fight again? I know Monterrey is really close, but if you like to fight in January, February, or are you going to wait to what the UFC decides?
I would like to wait for what the UFC have to say to me. I just want to recover myself of this injury right now, but I think I will be ready in a couple of weeks, start my training again, and it's up to them. It's like I'm ready whenever they tell me. Y pues a pelear cuando la UFC diga, ¿no? Por eso son mis jefes, y nada más esperarme una semana o dos a recuperarme de esta lesión y para seguir entrenando y pues lo que ellos digan.
Any additional questions? John Morgan.
Dave, just while we wait for DC, I think a lot of us have gotten some no comments already, but it's been a while since the Deadspin article came out with the allegations and the Vitor Belfort situation, and we haven't seen an official response from the company. Will we see an official response from the company? Is there a position from the UFC at this time?
Sure, I'm happy to field that for you. I think, you know, one of the things to keep in mind with this particular topic is any suggestion or inference that there was a cover-up regarding to that is just categorically false. That period of time with TRT was one that was very tricky for everyone, for the UFC, for athletic commissions, and for athletes alike. I think when everybody came to a conclusion that didn't have a place in the sport and it was outlawed in 2014, we were quick to make sure that we too followed suit, as Nevada had said. And as you look at it today, we have signed on with one of the greatest and most stringent anti-doping policies in the world through USADA. So our positioning on anti-doping in this sport is the same. We have no place for it in our sport, and we're going to, through Jeff Nowitzki and the USADA folks, continue to be aggressive to make sure that performance-enhancing drugs have no place in the UFC.